Hello and welcome to Byju's Exam Prep IAS. Let's get started and look into our daily quiz. Before we start with the practice questions for the day, a quick gentle reminder. As part of our Target Prelims 2023, today's session would be with respect to places in news. Please do tune in live on our YouTube channel from 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. so that you understand some of the important places in news that have been in the picture for the past 365 days. Let's get started and look into the first practice question. With respect to Kuni Darwaza, which of the following statements are correct? Kuni Darwaza is a gate built during the reign of Shesha Suri in the 16th century. The architecture of Kuni Darwaza is a blend of Mughal and Nagara styles. The gate gets its name from the killings that took place there during the Indian Rebellion of 1857. Which of the statements are correct with respect to Kuni Darwaza? The answer to this is 1 and 3 only. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article on the Indian Express makes a reference to Kuni Darwaza, which is why we have taken this practice question. Let us try and understand what are these statements. When you look into the first statement, yes, it is a gate built during the reign of Sher Shah Suri in the 16th century. First statement is right. When you look into the second statement, the architecture of Kuni Darwaza is a blend of Mughal and Nagara styles. This statement is wrong. Why? That is because it is a blend of Mughal and Afghan style and it is not Nagara style, which is why the second statement is wrong. When we look into Kuni Darwaza, the gate is made up of quartzite stone. It is three-storied building. It also has three arched entrances. It also has a central one being the largest of the three, and the upper stories of the gate also have balconies which provide a clear-cut view about the surrounding areas as well. So the second statement is wrong because it is not Nagara but it happens to be the Afghan style. The third statement is right. The gate gets its name from the killings that took place during the Indian Rebellion of 1857. So what we had was Bahadur Shah Zafar's son and grandson were shot dead there by Lieutenant Hodgson in 1857. It is this period the British forces also recaptured Delhi as well, which is why the third statement is also right. And also note, Sher Shah Suri built what is called as the Kila Kuna Masjid, which happens to be a gem of an example of the Afghan architecture, which was also repaired by Lord Curzon as well. And such an architecture marvel was also followed by Akbar, who constructed several other buildings in Agra. So the architectural style that was taken up by Sher Shah Suri was also continued by Akbar, which is one of the uniqueness that was carried forward as a legacy of Sher Shah Suri. Now let's look into the next practice question. Who are the persons entitled to vote by post at an election in a assembly constituency? Special voters, service voters, voters on election duty, electors subjected to preventive detention. The answer to this is 1, 2, 3, and 4. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article on the Indian Express makes a reference to postal ballots, which is why we have taken this practice question. Let us try and understand what are these statements. When it comes to the postal ballot, who are the people who would be able to cast their votes via the postal ballots? We have six categories of people. Who are these? One, what we have is the service voters, followed by the special voters, wives of the service voters and special voters, voters who are subjected to preventive detention, voters who are on election duty, and notified voters. Who are these service voters? Service voters are the people who belong to the armed forces, those who are covered under the Army Act. So for all those people who are covered under the Army Act, they are called as the service voters. So they might be working outside the state, they might be employed by the government of India outside the country as well. So service voters are those who are working in the armed forces. Then what we have is the special voters. Let's say for example, we have the President of India, the Vice President of India, governors of state, ministers of the union or the states. Such are what is called as the special voters. Then what we have is the notified voters. Who are these notified voters, let's say for example, we have the Election Commission of India. They recognize a class of people and they notify it by a notification of the Election Commission of India. These are what are called as the notified voters. Then what we have is voters on the election duty. So let's say for example, we have the state government employees. The state government employees are also employed for the conduction of election in that relevant state. All these employees are permitted to cast their vote as the postal ballot. Then what we have is electors subjected to preventive detention. It is the duty of the government to inform all the returning officers of such people who are detained under preventive detention. So their names, the addresses, electoral numbers will all have to be provided by the government. Now what you have to put on the comment section is, we have the diplomatic officers who are given the postal ballot. Their wives are also provided as part of the service voters as well. Are children covered under it? Are domestic servants covered under it? Is what you have to put on the comment section. Now let's look into the next practice question. Which of the following states are recognized by Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty as nuclear weapon states? France, Russia, Iran, China, Israel. The answer to this is 1, 2 and 4 only. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article on the Indian Express makes a reference to Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, which is why we have taken this practice question. Is India signatory to NPT? No. The answer is a clear-cut no. We have the 5 permanent members who are recognized by the NPT. 5 of the nations, namely US, UK, France, Russia and China, have signed the treaty. The other 4 countries, that is India, Pakistan, Israel and North Korea, have not signed the treaty and thus are not party to the treaty. So what is this non-proliferation treaty? The non-proliferation treaty, as the very name denotes, is prevention of proliferation of the nuclear weapons. Basically, it believes in disarmament. It has a simple objective of ensuring disarmament of the nuclear weapons, and as a result, it wants to limit the escalation of nuclear arms race and the technology with respect to the nuclear arms race as well. Now the question is, why has India not signed it? That is because when you look at the non-proliferation treaty, United States of America, United Kingdom, France, Russia and China already have the nuclear weapons, while other countries like India is not supposed to have the nuclear weapons. While you have countries like China, which is a next door neighbor, which is almost in the aggressive state most of the times, which wants to capture the lands of other country. When you have such neighboring countries which already has been given permission under the non-proliferation treaty, but countries like India will have to be completely going into the nuclear disarmament. Such differentiation was not liked by India, and as a result, India has not signed the NPT. So basically, there is clear-cut categorization of 5 permanent members who are allowed to use nuclear weapons, who are allowed to possess nuclear weapons, but then there are other countries which possess the nuclear weapons. They are not supposed to use it, they are not supposed to hold it, and as a result of this clear-cut differentiation, where some countries have nuclear weapons, some countries are not allowed to have nuclear weapons, this categorization and differentiation was not liked by India, and which is why it has not signed the non-proliferation treaty. Now let's look into the next practice question. Consider the following statements. The planet is sometimes called the jewel of the solar system. It is the least dense planet in the solar system. The above statements best describe Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. The answer to this is Saturn. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article on the Indian Express makes a reference to Saturn, which is why we have taken this practice question. When you look into the statements, the planet is sometimes called the jewel of the solar system. Yes. Why? Because it possesses the rings and it is the least dense planet in the solar system. Both the statements are in reference to Saturn. So Saturn is called the jewel of the solar system. It is the planet which has got those beautiful rings, and at the same time it is huge as well. It is the second largest planet in our solar system. The largest happens to be Jupiter. So this is the second largest planet, but the first happens to be Jupiter. Yes, you cannot stand on the Saturn. It is not like Earth. Saturn is mostly made up of the gases and it has a lot of helium as well. That is why it is the least dense planet in the entire solar system. It has these beautiful rings as well. These rings are not solid, they are made up of bits of ice, dust, rock, so on and so forth. And as part of the assignment, you have to put on the comment section which planet has most moons in our solar system. Now let's look into the next practice question. A layer in the Earth's atmosphere called ionosphere facilitates radio communication. Why? The presence of ozone causes the reflection of radio waves to Earth. Radio waves have a very long wavelength. Which of the statements given above are correct? The answer to this is neither one nor two. This happens to be a previous year question from the year 2011. Why are both the statements wrong is what you have to put on the comment section. Now let's look into the fact of the day. The fact of the day for today's discussion is predatory pricing. Let us try and understand what is this concept of predatory pricing. Let me simplify this process for you. Let's say for example there is one of the manufacturer. This manufacturer, let's say, is manufacturing mobile phones, or this manufacturer is manufacturing laptops. The cost of the production of this laptop or the mobile phone, let's say hypothetically, it is costing around 50,000. So what should this person or this company should do? They should ideally sell this particular laptop or this mobile phone for a price keeping the profits also into picture, let's say for about 55,000, 60,000, whatsoever it is. But what does this manufacturer do? This particular company has its laptop which is production cost is 50,000, but it is selling at a price, let's say for example 40,000, 35,000, 30,000, so on and so forth. Why? Because it wants to eliminate the competition in the market. So there is a company A, its production cost is about 50,000, but it is selling its product at 35,000, 40,000. But there is another company B whose production cost is 50,000, but it is selling it at around 55,000. So what would happen to B? No one will take the product of B, primarily because the cost of this particular product, companies A, is at 35,000. So what is happening here? This particular company is charging its product at way less than the production price, basically to eliminate the competition in the market. Similarly, it can also be a service as well. Let's say for example, we have about 3 to 4 companies which is into telecom sector, and one of the companies suddenly comes up, it gives data for free, and this is carried for about 6 months, 1 year, so on and so forth. So when a particular company enters the market with an intention to rule out the competition in the market and also ensure that no one else enters into the market for that specific domain or the service, is what is called as predatory pricing. In Transparent Energy Systems Private Limited versus Techros Systems Limited, the Competition Commission of India provided that following findings are relevant for the identification of predation. What is it? The prices of the goods or services of the enterprises are very low, so the pricing of that particular good or the service will be very low. The objective is to drive out competition from the market, who due to the low pricing would be unable to compete. There is significant planning to recover the losses, if any, after the market prices rises and the competitors have already been forced out. What is the concern? The concern is initially for a very brief period of time, because there is predatory pricing, because there is very low cost that is imposed on this particular product, customers would be able to get this particular product at a cheaper price. So for a short period of time they would enjoy the benefits, but once this particular company, the second company, the third company is completely forced out of the market, whatever price that particular company has, which has a monopoly over that particular market, the same price will be put up on the customers and they are forced to buy that particular product because there is no competition in the market. So for a short period of time it can be advantageous, but for a longer period of time, since there is no competition, customers will be forced to pay whatever is being imposed by that monopoly company. In order to overcome all this, what we have is the regulators, what we have is the Competition Commission of India. It will actually see if there is abuse of the dominant position in the market, and we also have Telecom Regulator Authority of India with respect to telecom services to look into predatory pricing. It is this that we have to understand with respect to this topic. So this is it for today. Thank you for watching. All the best.